Good afternoon, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. Since I'm here by myself, as you all know, it is a Thursday afternoon. It is February the 20th, 2025. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm having a quiet day, just reading, writing. I just finished writing on my online diaries, Crooked Fingers and Live Journal. I wrote another page in my paper diary. I'm on page 167, and then I'll start page 168. See, I put the page in my February 2025 folder. I've written going on 4 pages today of complete nothingness. Sometimes people, they'll comment on my videos about, they try to write, or keep a diary, or keep a journal, or keep a record of their day-to-day life, or some people just have journals where they write down different things. I just tell people, just write down what you do every day. That's all I do. There's nothing profound or deep in my writings. I'm an ordinary guy. I'm 67. No, I'm 20. No, I'm 72 years old. Will be 73 in August of 2025. Yeah, I've lived an ordinary life. I haven't climbed any tall mountains, and I'm not a traveler. I just kind of like a recluse kind of type. So yeah, I've been writing in my paper diary. I did get up really early this morning. I got up at 5:45. I don't know. Usually I try to stay in bed at least till 7 or 8 o'clock, but I got up, and of course my wife's not here. She's at the PCA Women's Leadership Conference in Stone Mountain, Georgia. She called this morning around 10 o'clock, woke me up. I went back to bed about 8 o'clock. 8:30, and we have 2 land phones, one up here and one down the lower level, and I was asleep. I had turned off my cell phone, but I forgot about the land phone downstairs. So I was asleep, and all of a sudden I heard the telephone ring. It says, Carol, Carol, so I knew it was my wife. So I jumped out of bed, and we only talked about maybe 8 minutes. So yeah, she's supposed to call back this evening. There's really nothing. I mean, if I have nothing to talk about in these videos when I talk to you guys out in YouTube land, BookTube, I don't really have much to say to my wife, because all I've been doing today is reading and writing. I mentioned I got this last night. Amazon dropped it off. Commentary on the Apostle Paul's epistle to the Philippians by this Italian reformer who lived from 1516 to 1590. So when I was reading this, there was a footnote mentioning this book, which I went down in the lower level to, I know I had it. It's Protestant Scholasticism, Essays and Reassessment, editors by Carl R. Truman and R. S. Clark. There is an essay in here by John L. Farthing, Patristic Exegesis and the Eucharist in the Theology of Girolamo Zanchi. Let's see here. So I read a little bit of that. still got before me Confessions of the Christian Religion by Zhangxi. So that's basically it. As you know, I haven't really done anything else. I watched some videos on... I like watching these lawn transformation videos where people tackle lawns who are overgrown with... I do that to kind of relax. Outside it's been snowing, it's really bitter cold, and so, but what I thought I'd show you in this video is I keep mentioning I have some thrift store books that I bought over the last couple of weeks, and I thought I'd show them to you. First of all, I showed you this biography that we picked up, my wife and I, when we went to Grand Haven's Public Library, their used bookstore, Cheap Stacks, and I showed you this biography of Walker Evans, very famous photographer. This is by James R. Mello, and I told you I had a book of his photos, and this is it right here. This is what he looked like when he was younger, and this is what he looked like when he got older. I don't think he's still living. I'm not sure if he is still alive, but he took, during the Depression, kind of photos. He took all kinds of photos, like during the Deep South, and he might have taken more modern photos. Let me see here. You've probably seen these kind of photos of the Depression, people in the Deep South, sharecroppers. Yeah, this came into the Book Nook one time when I was still volunteering there. So I grabbed it because I like photography. But these are the books. Another book I got at the Grand Haven Cheap Stacks I have not shown to you. The reason why is because I was reading it and I had it downstairs. But one of the books I got from Cheap Stacks a couple of weeks ago was Red's McCarthyism in the 20th Century America by Ted Morgan. Ted Morgan has written books on American history. He wrote a biography on William Burroughs. He wrote a biography on Somerset Maugham. He wrote a biography on FDR. And so I've been reading this off and on by Ted Morgan. He winner of the Pulitzer Prize in journalism. Yeah, this is one of his earlier books. This was, yeah, he was author of FDR, Churchill, Somerset Maugham, which I have, and The Wilderness at Dawn, The Setting of the North American Continent, and he also wrote, which I have, and then he also wrote A Shovel of Stars, The Making of the American West, 1800 to the Present. I have those downstairs. And I came across this at Cheap Stacks, and it was falling apart, so I put some packing tape on it, but I've been reading this. Now, I also went down to the Book Nook last week. I think it was Saturday, and I found a biography on Wilkie Collins, A Life of Sensation by Andrew Levitt. I have other biographies of him that he has written. He wrote one on Ian Fleming. I have downstairs. He wrote a biography on Dylan Thomas, which I have. And he wrote a biography on Arthur Conan Doyle, which I don't have. And then he wrote a biography on Richard Kipling, what I don't have. The one on Dylan Thomas, the great poet, I'm not sure if I kept it, but I didn't want to go digging through all my books to find. But I know I have his biography of Ian Fleming. You know, he's known for his James Bond books. And I know I have Somerset Maugham. I know I have those down there. Yeah, he has a degree in history from Oxford University. He wrote these biographies. He wrote Wilkie. He's famous for his novel, The Woman in White, I think. He's famous for. I should have brought him up. I have 2 novels of him down there in the lower level. I don't have Grub Street, which he's very famous for. I don't have that one. Let me see, it says here, mentions any other books that his novels. I know I have 2 novels of him down there, but I didn't bring them out because I didn't want to load up this video. Let me see, it mentions them here. Let me see. Books by Wilkie Collins. Yeah, he wrote a lot of books. Oh, The Moonstone, a romance. I have that one. Well, I don't know. It says it's 3 volumes, 1868. I don't know if I have that one. Then he wrote it doesn't mention the Lady in White. I thought that was one of them. Don't know why it doesn't mention it. Oh, here it is. The Woman in White. Well, 3 volumes. That's 1860. I know I have that one, but probably the modern edition, they're just 1 volume. So I picked up this biography of the writer Wilkie Collins, A Life of Sensation. And I picked up this biography at the Book Nook library, our local library used bookstore. I never heard of this guy. I found this in the philosophy section, which is also religion and philosophy. And it's called The Worldly Philosopher, an Odyssey of Albert O. Hirschman by Jeremy Alman. Now, I never heard of this individual before, but apparently he was like a social scientist, sociology, economy. He was involved with the Marshall Plan, Third World Development. I mean, it seems his life kind of covers the 20th century. He grew up, he was born in the Weimar Republic before the rise of Nazis. He had to flee. He fled to France. He just lived a very interesting life. He traveled all over the world. He worked in different places. He worked in France and England, America, South America. But anyway, I like biographies, I collect them, and it was only like $2, and I thought I'd just check it out. Now these I picked up several weeks ago at different thrift stores. I picked up this little book called The Landscape of History, How Historians Map the Past by Louis Gaddis. I have other books by Louis Gaddis. He wrote books on the Cold War. I have The United States and the Origins of the Cold War, 1941 to 1947. He wrote Strategies of Containment a critical appraisal of post-war American national security policy. The long piece, Inquiries into the History of the Cold War. As you know, I collect books on the Cold War, but I found this at a thrift store. I like biographies, and this is Salle, Explorer of the North American Frontier by Anka Muhlstein. It's a biography. A major rethinking of the French explorer Salle. He was here in 17th century in North America, was a dangerous, untamed land, a vast wilderness where settlers, fur traders, and missionaries struggled to eke out an existence, but the New World was also a place that attracted a special breed, men with a thirst for adventure and discovery. Robert Cavalier de La Salle, whose energy and single-minded ambition made him one of the greatest explorers of the time, was such a man. So I picked that up. I picked this up at a thrift store. I found this at a local thrift store, Legacy, A Summer in Italy by Shane O'Fallon. I have his collected stories somewhere downstairs. He's an Irish writer. This is like a travel memoir of him in Italy. He was born in Cork in 1900. He was an Irish writer. I have his short stories somewhere down the lower level. I can't find them. I have a New York Review book downstairs by this F.J. Powers. This is his novel, Wheat That Springeth Green. Yeah, I have another novel of his downstairs, the New York Review books. And so I picked that up at a thrift store. I collect books on Jung. This is on The Wounded Jung, Effects of Jung's Relationships of His Life and Work by Robert C. Smith. Yeah, I collect books on Carl Jung. Don't ask me why. Sometimes you get collecting books and you begin to, I don't know why. So I picked this up at a thrift store. I think it was Salvation Army. And then I picked up this novel, and when I got home and I was cataloging it, I already had it in my library. So this is a double. It will go in a box in my car. Nothing Natural, a novel by Jenny Diski. I already had this, so it's a double. This is the newest by David Grann. He wrote The Killers of the Flower Moon, which was made into a movie. This is his third book. David Grann, The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder. I have all his books downstairs. He wrote another book, The Lost City of Z, which I have downstairs. And I have Killers of the Flower Moon. And this is his, that's a picture of him. This is his newest novel. I found at a thrift store. Then I found this novel, I think at Gateway Mission, The Electric Michelangelo, a novel by Sarah Hall, Man Booker Prize finalists. Yeah, I have this thing. If I see a novel, hardback or paperback that's cheap and it looks interesting, I buy it. I catalog my books and library thing, and I have over 3,000 novels, and I keep buying them. And I don't know, and then maybe someday I'll get rid of them, but I'm always buying them. I collect the writings of Richard Bausch. This is a novel before, during, and after. I collect him. I don't know why. But this one is one of his older works. I mean, maybe newer. This came out in 2014. There's a picture of him. I don't know. Some people, they collect military history. Some people collect science fiction. Some people collect ancient Roman history. I think I gravitate towards good writing. I like writers. I like words. Even though I primarily read Christian literature like this, but I do like reading good fiction. I like poetry. I like essays, short stories, autobiography, memoirs, biographies, literary criticism, travel books, things like that, letters. But I collect him. I have 3 or 4 of his novels downstairs. So those are the used books I have not shown. I got them several weeks ago. Now I can put them down and put them away, get them out of my sight. I'll put this in the car. She passed away a couple of years ago. She was born in London. This Ginny Diski attended University College, London, studied 2 years toward an advanced degree, but interrupted her studies to write Nothing Natural. I think she wrote, this one came out in 1986. Yeah, I've been into Carl Jung since I was in college. I don't know why. Yeah, I saw this at a thrift store, and since I collect him, he's recommended by Frank O'Connor. Mary Gordon has a little blurb in the back. Mary Gordon, J.F. Powers is a comic writer of genius, and there's no one like him. I collect Mary Gordon, and I also collect Jonathan Rabin. His quote, one of the funniest, most socially exact, heart-rending, and thoroughly enjoyable writers alive. So those are writers I collect. So I thought, I tend to, if I see a novel, I always look at who the blurbs. Now, you can't always go by the blurbs, but if it's a blurb by a writer that I collect or I've read, I tend to get it. And I got this biography of Wilkie Collins, A Life of Sensation, Reds, McCarthyism in the 20th Century America by Ted Morgan. So those are the used books that you finally have seen. I'll list them below this video if you're curious. So yeah, basically I've just been reading this today. I probably will read Invictum by Michael Bronski early evening and tonight. I need to read at least, like I said, 6 or 7 pages. There's nothing else going on. Nothing came in the mail. Nobody coming knocking on the door. It's just been a very quiet, simple day of my short period of time on this earth. Yeah, we're all just passing away. You know, I think of that verse and 1 Peter just came to my mind, if I can find it. It says in 1 Peter, I got these books in my way. It says in 1 Peter, let's see if I can find it. It says 1 Peter, James. It says in the first epistle of Peter in the New Testament, it says in chapter 1, starting in verse 22, since you have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the spirit and sincere love of the brethren, love one another fervently with a pure heart, having been born again not of a corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, through the word of God which lives and abides forever. Because all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of the grass. The grass withers and its flower fades away, but the word of the Lord endures forever. I always kind of, so all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of the grass. The grass withers and its flower falls away, but the word of the Lord endures forever. So with that, I will close. I do hope you're having a good reading week. Have a good reading Thursday, and tomorrow's a Friday. And yeah, hope you're all just hanging in there. So may the Lord bless, and until next time, bye.